Will the House please come back to order in accordance with the provisions of Uniform Rules 51? I turn the gavel over to the President of the Senate, the Honorable Gary Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the joint session of the Alaska State Legislature please come to order? Madam Majority Leader Gavel.
Mr. President, I move and ask unanimous consent that the roll call of the Senate be waived and all members be shown as present.
Thank you. Without objection, so ordered. Mr. Majority Leader Kant.
Mr. President, I move and ask unanimous consent that the roll call of the House be waived and all members be shown as present.
Thank you. Without objection, so ordered. Will Senator Gray Jackson and Representative Schrage please escort U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski into the chambers?
Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. Senator from the great state of Alaska, the Honorable Lisa Murkowski.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Got a full house, full crowd. It is good to be home with all of you. Got to look the right way. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, to our majority leaders, Senator Giesel, Representative Kopp, to our minority leaders, Senator Schauer, Representative Costello, to all members of the legislature, thank you for the opportunity to be back with you in these chambers. I've had a good morning. I think I've been able to meet with the vast majority of you, exchanging conversation as Alaskans and as fellow lawmakers. So thank you for the time that you've given me already and for the hour that we will have this morning. A lot of new faces. This is good. This is good to see. When you have a House with 10 new members, that's impressive. That's good. And I love, and I will emphasize love, the fact that we have so many women in our Alaska legislature. More women than men. It's taken a little bit of time, but congratulations to all of you. And look forward to the many, many contributions that we will see. At the same time that you see the new faces, there are many that I have known over the years. You have a few that I've actually served with. They're more like friends and extended family. We got Lyman back there in the corner. We've got Gary. I know I'm supposed to be using your formal titles here, but you know, you look at these guys and their tenure here. These are the giants of the place. I think of you as the Ted Stevens and the Don Young of the legislature. I'll let you figure out which one's which, but You've been around a little bit of time. But whether you're new to public service or continuing this, thank you for stepping up. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for being in the arena at a time that our state needs each and every one of you. So for those of you that are new, you need to know I start out every one of my legislative addresses, not talking about you, but talking about my family, because our families are so important to who we are and what we do. When I got on the plane on Monday coming out of Anchorage to come to Juneau, I run into Representative Costello, Mia, and I remembered when you first came to this body, your kids were young. They were about the same age as my kids were when I joined the legislature. And I remember Day mornings were, when you're leaving the kids and you're saying, have a good week, instead of have a good day at school. So to each and every one of you who leave your families behind, or who bring them here and who uproot them to be part of this, thank you for what you do. Thank you for the sacrifice that you are making. Your children will be better because of your service. So thank you for making those trips every Monday. So my family is doing well. The boys are good. They're getting older. They're both married. One's living in Anchorage. One's living in Tennessee. They married great women. Vern is doing well. He is on both ends of the country flying with me. We never fly on the same airplane. He's always looking for more leg room, and I'm so used to being squoze in to wherever I need to be. But he is doing well. My parents are well. For those of you who asked, thank you for inquiring. They're both, Dad's turning 91. At the end of the month here, they celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary in August, so they're hanging in there. And as for me, I've spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. this year. We're beginning a new Congress, a new administration. This is actually our first recess this year. Usually I come during President's Day, and this is the first recess that we have had. You're not going to find anybody who is happier about being home right now than me. I wasn't quite sure it was actually going to happen. We managed to avoid a government shutdown. That's a good thing. But I'll tell you, the end result was less than desirable. The continuing resolution that we will be operating under now through the end of September is not where I would have hoped. But we're dealing with a situation, or we were dealing with a situation, that I think was best described as a Morton's fork. For those of you who are not familiar with this term, it's okay to Google it and look it up. But basically, it's a choice between two equally bad options, and that's what we were faced with. A shutdown, not ever good, but also a continuing resolution that doesn't do much, if anything, to reduce the level of spending. It just takes away the work that we had done in identifying where our priorities were going to be and telling the administration, there's the money, but we're not providing you with the details to administer it. So we're moving forward, and that's going to be important. Beginning next week, we begin work in earnest on budget reconciliation. We can talk a little bit more about that if you want. But before I get started on that, I want to recognize some of the work that's gone on here in this legislature, some of the good work that you are doing. To Representative Deabird, I don't see, all the way back there, Senator Kawasaki, Representative Carrick. I'm looking for all of them here, but I want to thank you for just saying it loud and proud. It's Denali, so thank you for that. That resolution is really important. I thank you. I thank the 50 of you who voted for it. To Senators Murkowski, Tobin, Cronk, and Hughes, Speaker Edgman, Representatives Himshoot, Johnson, Ruffridge, all of you who have been tackling K-12 funding with the governor, thank you for what you're doing there. I know that this is hard, but there's nothing more important than we can do for Alaska's future than focusing on our kids' education. So thank you for working through those hard things. I appreciate that. And then those of you that were working as part of the Joint Legislative Task Force on Alaska's seafood industry, I'm not going to name all the names. I was with many of you in January at the Commission's task force meeting there. But thank you. Thank you for the good recommendations to help our fish, our fishermen, our processors, our coastal communities. Thank you. We need to take your recommendations and help you with the implementation. Senator, I just saw Senator Hughes. She's right. Anyway, I got to stop looking for where everybody's parked because you're all in different spots, right back there. But thank you. I appreciate what you're doing on food security. These are big initiatives. I'm proud to be able to support the work that you're doing through the microgrants program that I was able to create for Alaska. So there's good partnering going on there. Representative Stutz, Representative Tomaszewski, and everybody who supported HB 65. This is great. This is great work on legislation for the new passenger dock there in Seward and the economic development that that's going to bring. So good work on so many of these initiatives that I just really appreciate. On a more personal level, it's good to see Senator Olson and again Representative Deibert back here, better back at work. Glad to know that you are on the mend. And I was able to earlier congratulate Representative Schrage on the birth of his second daughter. So again, congratulations to you and your wife there on Emily. So thank you. Keep doing good work, all of you in so many different areas. I've got some friends and colleagues in the gallery that I want to introduce. I try to introduce folks that you might not be familiar with because they haven't been introduced in the gallery yet. And you've got a gentleman who is no stranger to you, Joe Plesha. He previously worked in this legislature. He's handling all my comms back there. I don't know whether we let him continue with a mustache, but I guess that's who he is. So we're not going to bug him on that. The gentleman seated right to the end there is my chief of staff, Garrett Boyle. Garrett has been on my team in this capacity now since last April. Next to Joe is Holly Gruber, who is my advisor for energy and natural resources. She was working previously with Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers on the House side, did a great job over there, and we were able to pick her up. Next to her, we have my regional director here in Juneau, Kara Hollitz. Kara's doing a great job for us. And next to Kara, we have Karina Waller. Karina has been around working on the federal side for a long time. Before coming to me, she was with Senator Stevens a long time ago, but has been heading up my state operations here also since last April. So those are some of the new faces. You're going to see more on my team that are wandering the halls, having meetings with you. This is a good opportunity for, again, us to figure out where we can be partnering and working together. I'm proud of the relationships and the partnerships that we're really able to develop with one another. So don't hesitate to call. Call me, call them, call all of us, get us engaged. So back in Washington, D.C., and some of the things that we're doing there, we have made progress. I know it's tough sometimes to kind of think about, well, did we actually do anything last year? It was an election year, right? Who was paying attention to anything about accomplishments? But we did. One of the things that I know Dan and I are particularly proud of is the effort that we were able to advance across the finish line, which is to secure a commercially available icebreaker and the Coast Guard's commitment to home port that icebreaker called the Storis here in Juneau. We were able to secure cold weather pay for Alaska's air and space forces. In something that was really quite personal to me, we were able to save the Alaska Air National Guard from cuts that would have impacted and cost about 80 positions there. That was really important. We were able to secure $300 million for fishery disasters, and we were able to pass legislation to reform the declaration process to work better for Alaska. This is something that we need to keep doing more on. We've improved it, but the fact of the matter is the process still does not work for our fishermen and for our fishing community, so we're not letting up on that. We broke ground on the Kenai Bluff Stabilization Project. This is one of the major infrastructure projects that's now underway around our state. This is one that many of you in the peninsula have been working on with us for a long, long time, so it's good to see that going. We were able to work with our military leaders to help Cake and Angoon and Wrangell secure long overdue apologies for the bombings that wiped out their native villages back in the late 1800s. So to be part of those ceremonies was really quite impactful. We were able to increase funding to address natural hazards, including the landslides that continue to claim lives across Southeast. And to see Jeremy Bynum here from Ketchikan, the role that you played in your local government, but the impact to that community when we had the devastating loss just last year in Ketchikan. We've been able to make some headway, finally, for better, more reliable weather observing systems, which we're going to be able to deliver through the Don Young Alaska Aviation Safety Initiative. We got more that we need to be doing on that, but I tell you, after the devastating, after the terrible Bering air crash outside of Nome, I think we're all rightly focused on what more we can be doing when it comes to aviation safety. And then on the congressionally directed spending process, we were able to advance dozens of community priorities. This was everything from housing for Sitka to the expansion of the university's program for nurses and allied healthcare workforce. And then we were able to finish up some things that, again, have been outstanding for a long time. Secured nearly all the funding needed for an Alaska Veterans Cemetery in Fairbanks. I remember when Representative Gutenberg started that ages and ages ago. We're putting a new roof on the Palmer Pioneer Home, again, after years of delay, seeing the threats from heavy snowfalls. And a personal one, this is big for Frank and Nancy Murkowski, we finally repainted the Wrangell Post Office. Woo-hoo. Sometimes you take your wins where you can. And we also have some good news just this week. I've told many of you in our smaller conversations, but I've been working directly with the Secretary of Commerce, Secretary Lutnick, as well as the Secretary of State, Secretary Rubio, and we are able to confirm that our fishermen are going to be able to get out on the water on Thursday for the black cod and the halibut opener. That was caught up in a process that most fishermen will not know. They don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want to know that they're able to get out on the water and be able to do their fishing, and we've been able to secure that for them. So that was a good win. We have accomplished a lot, and it takes a lot from the delegation, but it takes a lot from you and from our teams and from Alaskans across the state. And before I kind of move into my next, I want to acknowledge somebody that as I'm looking in the gallery, I see our Lieutenant Governor, my friend, and our Lieutenant Governor, Nancy Dahlstrom. Thank you for joining us in the gallery. I don't know if I've seen you back there before, but I certainly don't want to skip over your contributions and that of the Governor in all that we do when we talk about working together and the teams that make things happen. So thank you. So it really is our people that make the difference. And that's what I want to focus on today in my comments. And it's not just the great Alaskans that make us proud at the Olympics, like Kristen Faulkner from Homer. That was super great to see her. Or who received top honors from the National Endowment for the Arts, like Reverend Dr. Gilbert Trimble from Arctic Village. Extraordinary recognition for him. And it's not just like the Alaskans who run James Beard Award-winning restaurants, like Carolina and Heidi and Pat at Lucky Wishbone. Who knew that Lucky Wishbone was a James Beard Award-winning restaurant? But yes, of course it should be. Or those who have built institutions like Jack Hebert did with the Cold Climate Housing Research Center there in Fairbanks. Or our military men and women who we're so very proud of and proud to have them serving in our state and who come from all over the country. We celebrate them all, as we should. But today I want to talk about another set of people who make a difference. And these are Alaska's federal employees. There are about 15,000 of them. 15,000 of them in our state. On a per capita basis, Alaska hosts more federal workers than just about any state outside of Maryland and a couple others. I want to give them credit where credit is due. And I also want to express how disturbed that I am about how they have been treated recently. As I stand here, federal employees across Alaska are losing or who have lost their jobs. And I can't tell you with accuracy. I can't tell you how many because no one who has that information is either able to share it or willing to share it. But what I do know is that these abrupt terminations have affected NOAA. They've affected the National Weather Service, the National Park Service, the Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, USDA Rural Development, our VA, and other federal agencies. These terminations are indiscriminate, and many, we're now learning, are unlawful. And they're being made regardless of performance and with little understanding of the function and the value of each position. So at any human level, they're traumatizing people and they're leaving holes in our communities. One couple said to us, it's not just about losing their jobs, they're losing their lives. They're losing their community. And we heard that yesterday in a discussion with some terminated employees. No one should feel good about this. Now, I agree. I think every single person in this chamber would agree. The federal government is too big. It's just too big. The debt is now above $36 trillion. We're spending more on our interest than our national defense. So I do support the mission behind DOGE. I get it. We need to find efficiencies in government. This is our responsibility. You need to find it at the state level. We need to find it at the federal level. And reductions in federal workforce make absolute sense. But let's do it in the right way. Let's do it in the right way, not like this. The administration, the approach that we're seeing lacks the type of planning that you need to avoid unintended consequences. It lacks the fundamental decency that you need when you're dealing with real people. Public servants are not our enemies. They are our friends, they're our neighbors, they are integral to our economy and to our ability to function as a state and as a country, and their work might be underappreciated. Maybe we don't even know what it is that they're doing. But that doesn't make it any less important. Just because I don't know who it is that is processing my renewal for my passport, all I care about is that I get it in a timely manner. I'll never know that person. I'll never know that they've been working at that same job for 12 years. And it is not glamorous. But they're there, and they show up, and they work, and they give me and you what we're hoping for. So I want us to think about the value that comes to us from these public servants. right now, I mean, when I came over here today, I asked, okay, any update from Mount Spur? Because we're all wondering when she's going to pop her top, but do we really want to go back to the days of that KLM flight when it lost its engine, dropped 14,000 feet of altitude when it flew through a cloud of ash? I don't want that. In just a few weeks, I think it's April 14th, you're going to have 4,000 tourists arriving here in Juneau on the first cruise ship. Do we really think that one or two people can handle them all at the Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center? I was out there yesterday. I'm talking to folks. I don't think a couple people are going to be able to do it. Do we no longer recognize that our weather forecasters save lives in our state? Is it a good idea to fire the scientists who are tracking the avian flu, given our status as this global flyway for migrating birds? We had a conversation just earlier this morning about the potential for a really bad, a really scary fire year, or fire season this year. The fire season started yesterday, earliest ever. Do we really want to gut the support staff for the firefighters who are going to be on the front lines here? I was able to visit with some folks yesterday. One was a NOAA fish biologist. He's one of the guys that is doing the trawl surveys that are so necessary for us to be able to give direction to the council on the management of our fisheries. You know, the fish aren't going to be able to save themselves. We need our fish biologists. We need our stream ecologists. We need their help. I'm also frustrated by the federal funding freeze, another area where I think Alaska faces disproportionate impact. We have more than $1 billion that's hanging out in limbo right now, even though we in Congress approved the funding, President signed it into law, and Alaskans secured these resources through competitive national processes. And keep in mind, or in perspective, what's being targeted, it's not going to put a dent in the deficit or balance the budget, but we're going to see project costs go up, construction seasons lost, employees and contractors laid off. We may lose some projects entirely. One of the ones that was mentioned earlier this morning, Thayer Creek, we've been working for more than 20 years now to get funding for Angoon's Thayer Creek Hydro Project. So believe me, I'm not letting go of the progress and the gains that we have made on that. So we got to keep working to advance all of this. But again, what we're facing here is this is happening in a very indiscriminate manner, with very little understanding of what the projects mean to us for Alaska. How a small little hydro project, in the total scheme of things back in Washington, D.C., may not be that big, but if you can reduce your reliance on expensive diesel in a community where you have no other options, don't we want to try to encourage that? So making sure that people understand, sure they understand the impacts, not only of a small little hydro project, but the impact for victims of domestic violence who now may have no safe place to go. So I thank folks for weighing in. I kind of like this process. It can be a little bit unruly, a little bit rambunctious. People are talking out. They're weighing in, and I welcome that. And then there are some very measured ways. President Stevens and Speaker Edgman, I got your letter to Senator Keel and Representative Story and Hannan. I got yours too. And I'll tell you, I accept the challenge. I want you to know that I'm going to do everything in my power to make the best of this. We are engaging every day, some in different ways, but we are engaging every day to try to identify where we are seeing challenges presented to us here in Alaska and ways that we can work to address it, get it unlocked, get it moving again, get it thawed out, whatever we want to call it. I've been working directly with members of the cabinet, folks in the White House. We're making some progress there, and that's good. But I'm just one of three in a delegation. We all need your help. I can't do my job alone, and so when I ask you for these stories, when I ask you to share with us what you're hearing from your folks back home, take us up on the offer. Don't be afraid to give us too much. We can be more responsive, and we can help more Alaskans when we do this all together. So I'm opening the door to more work, but we're gonna pass it through both ways, okay, here? A few years ago, it was 2017, I stood right here, and I said that as long as this legislature wants to keep Medicaid expansion, you should have that option. And my commitment remains to you. I'm going to tell you again, I did not support Medicaid cuts back then, and I'm not going to be supporting Medicaid cuts now. Now, there will... I know what it means to Alaskans, and I know what it would mean to you here in the legislature. There may be some reasonable reforms, and we have talked a little bit about them, about what we may be able to do within Medicaid, because we do need to address the rising costs of these entitlement programs, and Medicaid needs to be examined through that light. But I just can't be on board with anything that hurts our people or puts you in a budget hole. And speaking of holes, I want to bring up perhaps a difficult subject, and that is the statewide Transportation Improvement Plan, the STIP. The reality is that Alaska is on pace to wind up hundreds of millions of dollars short of where we could and where we should be. And I'm not going to point fingers. That is not my job. But here's the deal. I can't solve this one. I can't solve it. And the longer it takes to sort things out, the more our contractors and our communities will lose. So let's be working on that. And the same goes for the Alaska Marine Highway System. You knew I wasn't going to stand up here and not address AMHS. But we are about to enter the final year of our bipartisan infrastructure law. We've delivered $700 million and counting for AMHS. But our system still isn't modernized. It's not on track for the long term. There is a plan for that, but it's a draft on paper. So unless the state steps up on capital and operating expenses, I fear that we've wasted a once-in-a-generation opportunity to be right by all who depend on our ferries. So, Senator Bjorkman, I know you get it. I commend the work that you're doing on the Transportation Committee on federal funding, AMHS, the STIPs, and more. But really, when federal dollars are on the table, I'm just going to encourage you, go after them, especially as we're seeing spending constrained. And so when the delegation manages to throw a lifeline, I'd hope that the state would grab it and use it to reach stable ground. We've got enough problems without creating more for ourselves, and we're seeing a lot of that. The environment in Washington is, let's just use the word challenging. Take tariffs. That's the topic of the day back in Washington, D.C. But you can't talk about tariffs in isolation and say Washington, D.C. We can talk about it in our own state's capital here and the impact. I'm going to be visiting with folks from the Alaska Foresters Association, and I'm going to hear from them their concerns about tariffs and what it may mean for some of our small operators down south from here with the China retaliatory tariffs. We've got Canada that's threatening tolls on goods trucked into our state. Whether they make good on that, we have no idea. But now we're talking about, well, what will we have to do to insulate ourselves from that? And do we need to revamp the PVSA again? I mean, this is something that I don't know about you, but I didn't really anticipate that we were going to be dealing with this in March of 2025. On foreign policy, I think you've seen some of my comments, but quite honestly, I've been stunned by a turn of events that would appear that we might abandon Ukraine and collapse longstanding alliances from NATO to NORAD. And then we've got two close neighbors here in Alaska. We got Russia over here, we've got Canada over here. How we came to a place where we're fighting now with Canada and we're making nice with Russia, it's beyond me. And as long as we've got to send up fighter jets to chase off Russian bear bombers from our addies, I'm not going to trust Putin here, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm going to stand up and say so. Thank you. I want to acknowledge, though, it's easy to say something, but I can't tell you how proud I am of those who do get that call and who go up and go lead on these intercepts. It's the 18th Fighter Intercept Squadron up north. It's our Air National Guard for helping to facilitate these intercepts through their refueling mission. We should be so exceptionally proud of the men and women that are serving us, honoring us every day, and taking these threats that we see with it's just another day at work. Well, they are my everyday heroes, and I'm just so very grateful. So you've heard me describe a few things from the Trump administration that I oppose, and again, if I feel strongly about it, I'm gonna speak out about it. But there are plenty of areas. There are many areas where I agree with the president, and I agree strongly. We need to secure our borders. We need to stop the flow of fentanyl into our country. Our trade relationships are not always fair. The war in Ukraine does need to end, and I am encouraged by the fact that there may be some progress here, that we will actually see that end. Our partners and our allies do need to step up for themselves and for the defense of democracy. And so these are things that we can be working on in a strong way. Things are different. It's a new administration. That happens every 4 years when you have a new administration coming in. And they're going to be different going forward. We're already seeing that. Some of it in the current space is difficult. I'm acknowledging Alaskans are out of jobs, projects are stuck or canceled. There's volatility in the market. There's a potential for trade wars or the collapse of international partnerships. Some of it has been difficult for a while, like in our fisheries, where we need every bit of help that we can, given Russia's kind of war on fish, their trade manipulations, the lawsuits that we see from extreme environmentalists, just the changes that we're seeing within our ocean. This has been hard. But some of it is also going to be notably better. There are good people that we can work with to do good things for Alaska. On fisheries, so as we're pushing to bring back our fish and our crab, we recognize, you talk to folks in the industry, they say, we've got to have the ability to modernize. We need to reinvest. We need to recapitalize an aging fleet. And I think what you're seeing out of the White House, the president's push for more domestic shipbuilding, this can be strong for us. This can be good, and it can extend to Ketchikan. It can extend to Seward. So these are good areas of cooperation. We also have a chance to grow our private sector and reduce the dependency on the federal government. And we need to embrace that. I think we need to embrace that because it will benefit and could define our economy, our budget, and our quality of life for a generation or more. We can put Alaska back on the global map for energy and resource production. There is absolutely no reason that we cannot. We can turn the NPRA back into a petroleum reserve as it was designated by law decades ago. We need to tap into those rich resources beneath that fraction of the non-wilderness coastal plain. We can reverse the political decision to reopen and reject the Ambler Road. We can get Graphite 1 through the permitting process. We can produce antimony, copper, nickel, tungsten, tin, other critical minerals. And we can restore our federal timber harvest to more than a single but very, very beautiful Christmas tree in front of the U.S. Capitol. We were proud that the tree came from the Tongass, but we would like more than one. We can lift the public land orders, complete conveyances, and ensure that our Alaska Native veterans receive their rightful allotments. And we can not only approve, but we can finally build the life-saving road to King Cove that has been sought for so long. And all of this is in front of us now, and we're working hard through every process, every person, every process, including budget reconciliation, to work to advance that. And of course, there's more. After years of a lot of skepticism and doubt, I do think that we have a chance to move forward with Alaska's natural gas opportunities, with what is coming out of the White House, what the president mentioned in his recent address to Congress. He's really given air underneath the Alaska natural gas pipeline proposal. And then, of course, here in Alaska, between Senator Sullivan and Governor Dunleavy, they've helped bring Japan, Korea, Taiwan into the conversation. They've really kept the faith on that. And so there is movement and there is reason for encouragement as we think about our natural gas resources. Now, you know I hate LNG imports with the white-hot fury of 1,000 suns. But I will acknowledge that maybe just this once, maybe we can take those lemons and we can use them as part of a bigger plan to export our North Slope reserves. So we've got so much that we can work towards. There's so much that we can be working to partner on. But I'm going to remind you again, every one of these opportunities, everything that we have in front of us depends on our people. Our people make it happen, and they allow us to be resilient. Resource development, road construction, fishing, tourism, everything. Our opportunities, our industries require people, and they depend on the essential workers who build houses, who keep us healthy, who teach and watch the kids while we work. To bring it full circle, our opportunities also depend on functional government. The men and women who do the trawls and do the surveys, who issue the permits, who maintain the visitors' facilities, who forecast the weather, and so much more. We've just got incredible potential, but it's going to take all sorts of people doing all sorts of things to realize it. And a big part of my job is to make sure that we have the people in place at the federal level who's going to help us, and at the state level, that's a big part of yours. We need to grow our own for every facet of life in Alaska so that we can grow as a state. We need to take care of our own so that people can stay and build and enjoy their lives here. And that means we need to work together to knock down every barrier that we find in housing, in schooling, in childcare, in healthcare, in infrastructure, the cost of living, the cost of energy, everything. And through it all, we need to treat people like people. Because we're all Alaskans, we're all invested in the future of this great place, and we all contribute in our own way. We must treat one another with the respect and the dignity that we would wish to be treated ourselves. So I wish you a lot of success in the session. We got a lot of work to do. I think you're going to find every success. You just have to keep Alaska's people front and center, and everything will be just fine. Thanks so much. Happy to take some questions.
Well, thank you, Senator. We'll begin with Representative Carrick.
Thank you, President Stevens, and thank you, Senator, for being here today. I especially just want to thank you first and foremost for being available to your constituents and to Alaskans during this time and having your office so accessible. Also today for acknowledging the many ways public and private sectors support each other. I'm very grateful for your words on that. Senator, my question relates to the construction probability for an in-state natural gas pipeline. And often called the white whale of development projects, it seems that at every stage and phase of the potential for a gas line project, the potential of that project has somehow simultaneously languished and flourished at the same time. So recognizing some of the new realities we have today, my question is realistically, what is the probability for and federal momentum for an in-state gas line project? And if a gas line is to be built in Alaska, very specifically, what are the ways that we can ensure that Alaskans remain the primary beneficiaries of such development, such that we receive the lower cost power in our state that we're looking for? And just on behalf of our Interior delegation folks, I want to specifically mention the essential necessity for a spur line to Fairbanks to reduce our energy costs there and our air quality challenges. And I'm hoping you could speak a little more to that.
Thank you, Representative Carrick. So I've mentioned the kind of the increased focus that we're seeing from Washington, D.C. related to Alaska's natural gas and the opportunities there. I would be not honest with you if I suggested that that relates to an in-state line. I think the administration is really looking at this more through the lens of what can be done to work towards the balance of trade. I know that the Japanese are certainly looking at it through the lens of, is this a way to stave off the potential for tariffs? And so as Alaskans, there's not as much focus on us, right? It's where is your market? We've always known that the market for Alaska's gas is not just confined here. It's what is available for the broader market. And that market has never been a domestic U.S. market. It's been the Asian market. So having that aside, an Alaska-specific line that addresses our needs is one that hasn't gotten, I think, the same level of attention as a bigger line designed for export. On the issue of gas to Alaska, we want to be contributors to the broader national economy. We demonstrate that every day. We certainly do that with how we proudly host our military here, how we take care of the public lands. We do this a lot. But when it comes to taking care of Alaska's energy needs, we don't want to be left behind. And I thank you for the comment about the spur line to Fairbanks. And I know Representative Stepp has a bill out there that would focus on the spur. What that means, I actually had an opportunity to have a conversation on the plane coming down yesterday about what might need to happen from a permitting process because the line now, the FERC permits are specific and do not include a spur. And so would it have to be a separate application from to the FERC? Is there a process? So there's a lot of people that are talking about that. And as one who has lived in Fairbanks enough years to know and understand the energy challenges and considerations, why we would make the investment as Alaskans and not have the resource available to us as Alaskans as well is something that we need to help drive that conversation. So I think we are in preliminary discussions. You got to have the market for any big project of this nature. You have to have identified the barriers that we have in front. I am encouraged by the conversations, the discussions, the high-level discussions that are going on about Alaska's gas and where we sit within the national picture. I think that Alaskans will be the beneficiaries of that, but we should not assume it. We need to make sure that we are in that as part of the discussions going forward, so that we reap the benefits as well as those from a trade perspective. We got some ground to cover here. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Dunbar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Murkowski, you're an attorney as well as our elected official. The Trump administration this week has stated that they do not need to follow a federal court's order because the agency was operating abroad. Do you agree with them that federal courts do not have jurisdiction over federal agencies' actions outside the United States? If you don't, what will you and your Republican colleagues in Congress do to ensure the Trump administration is following the rule of law?
Yeah. Following the rule of law shouldn't make a difference where you are. We follow the rule of law. And I think what you saw this weekend with the court order ordering the administration to halt the deportation, my view, and again, I have no inside information on this, my view is that the administration was testing the court to see how far they might be able to go with this. You've got a lot of discussion going on right now. This is a case where I don't think any one of us would disagree that when you've got members of a really awful gang who have done some awful things that we don't, and who are not in this country legally. We do not want them here. But even when we want to get them out of our country, there is a process. It is called due process. We follow our own rules here. So you've asked what's going to be the outcome in the Congress. I think, and I'm going to speak to you as a legislator, you get that as a legislator, your authorities are different than what the folks on the third floor have. You know that. You respect it. Sometimes you think the governor's office has maybe overextended themselves, maybe overreached, and your responsibility as legislators is to say, this is our domain, this is our jurisdiction here. And even if you agree with the policy, even if you agree with the direction, you want to stand up for your own institution, right? Because if you don't stand up for your own institution, you're going to find you're going to wake up one day and say, why did I work so hard to get here, and why am I trying to stay here if I've given all my authorities to the executive branch? That's kind of what I feel like we're facing in Washington, D.C. Because if we stand back as Republicans and say, well, I want to get rid of the Venezuelan gangs, and I don't care the manner in which they get out. I just want them out. I agree with the president on his border policy, so I don't really care whether or not they may overstep. If I agree with the policy, then I'm not so worried about whether or not the administration has overstepped its authorities. We can't do that. You can be a 100% supporter of the president and still stand up for the institution of the Congress. In fact, you must stand up for the institution of the Congress, because you're not going to have every president that you happen to agree with his or her policies. And we are the ones that are closer to the people. We've been sent there to do a specific job. Our authorities, the authorities that I have to adhere to, are laid out in the Constitution of the United States, that oath that I swore to defend, not as an attorney, but as an elected member of Congress. And I've got a duty to defend the institution, regardless of whether or not I agree or disagree with the policies. So we got to stand up, and we have to make sure that it is understood that we are all separate but equal branches of government. When the court's orders are defied, that weakens our courts. When the people no longer believe that the system of justice is there for them, what do we have in this country? It's a thoughtful question. It evokes a lot of emotion.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Mina.
Thank you, President Stevens, and thank you, Senator Murkowski, for your long-term efforts to understand and support Alaska's healthcare system. My start in health policy was as a Ted Stevens intern here in the Capitol in 2017, and then that summer I interned in DC. So I followed closely those repeal and replace efforts. I know that we're seeing a repeat of a lot of those efforts now in DC, and you spoke to those Medicaid impacts. I know that there's been a lot of rhetoric about waste, fraud, and abuse, but not a lot of clarity about what that means and the extent of these issues. And so knowing that Medicaid is $2 billion with our budget between the state money and the federal money, could you speak to this fight over in DC and how this will impact us and Alaskans on Medicaid?
Yeah. Well, you all are deeply focused on this, but other Alaskans might not understand the real numbers when it comes to Medicaid. 38% of Alaskans are enrolled in Medicaid. 245,749 is the number that I have. 43% of Alaska's kids on Medicaid, Denali Kid Care, 13% of our seniors. So this is a significant percentage of our population here. And when we think about the impact of Medicaid and how it stands to support so many Alaskans with their health care needs, you think about, all right, what happens if we do pull back on Medicaid expansions? What happens if the ACA premium tax credits, which came about through the IRA, were not to be extended? How many people are we talking about there? On ACA premiums, 27,807 Alaskans are on the individual market. 86% of them receive tax credits. These are percentages that I think are important to keep in mind from your perspective. From the individual's perspective, what they're thinking about is, well, if this premium tax credit is no longer in place, what would it mean for me and my family in terms of increased premiums? If you are a single parent with one child, and you're at 300% of the federal poverty level, which is making about $80,000 a year. If the premium tax credits go away, it would be an increase to your overall health insurance of about $2,000 a year. $2,000, that's a fair amount. It's not breathtaking, but it's a fair amount. But look what happens to two parents, two kids, so you've got two wage earners. They're at 400% of poverty level. So this puts you just over 160,000 combined income for the two of you, plus your two kids. The increase to your premiums would be $26,000 additional to what you are already paying. So I don't know about you. I don't know anybody, any of my friends and neighbors and family here who think that $26,000 on top of what they're already paying is a reasonable increase. But we have seen the premiums increase year over year for the past 3 years in ways that are significant, that are again, so far surpassing most other states. It can be breathtaking. And so the work that is being done at your Division of Insurance, Lori Winghire, she does extraordinary work out there, just crunching numbers and trying to understand what these impacts will mean to Alaskan families. So putting it into beyond just percentages, but what it's going to mean. And again, I know you all are facing some news with your own forecast that you received just last week. Price of oil is down a little bit. You're dealing with big decisions as it relates to education, and you're looking at some real consequential decisions when it comes to how you're going to be dealing with your deficit issues. And you don't need to know that you're going to have to add an extra $1 billion to the already difficult task of how you manage to meet those budget needs. So this is real. I do think that what you will see coming out of Washington with the reconciliation process is not so much budget cuts, but it will be budget reforms. What those may look like, I think, is yet to be defined. I appreciate what you have said about how are we defining waste, fraud, and abuse. And so there's a lot to be still uncovered in this area. And again, back to the homework that I have of each of you is let us know what you're hearing from people as they're seeing the potential for these reforms.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Jimmy.
Goiana, President Speaker, and Goiana Tikisud Mav Dasakhalutun Goiana Bagam Kinmani Jalsun Alaska. I just wanted to say I'm so happy to see you came safe traveling down, and thank you for all the work that you do for Alaska. But my concern is the federal freezes. This affects my district because 30% of my constituents work in the federal nonprofit world. And as we work to balance the budget in a tight fiscal time right now, my question is, how can we work together to protect the federal money in Alaska?
Gunesh Chishan, thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you here. So much of this comes back to identifying where we are seeing either these freezes or pauses. It helps us identify where we may need to just provide more in-depth education and background to folks in the administration. Again, they're kind of moving through things very fast. And in an effort to do that, it's not necessarily a considered study of each project. It may just be that it's a project that is part of a program that was initially designed to address the impacts of climate change. Well, you are seeing the impacts of thawing permafrost. You're seeing the impacts of greater coastal erosion, river erosion. You can call it climate change or you can call it impacts from thawing permafrost. But the fact of the matter, it's impacting you. And so the name of the program shouldn't be what matters. How you had to use words to describe your grant opportunity. In the previous administration, if you didn't have the words resilient, climate, sustainability, you didn't get the grant. Now in this administration, if you have any of those words, you got to scrub it because you won't get the grant. It's kind of crazy. Let's get to the point of what the grant was all about. And that's where our legwork really has to come in. And so we're gonna prevail on some of these. On some, I'm worried about it. And I'll tell you one that I'm really worried about. We were able to advance in the last appropriations bill significant funding to do contaminated lands cleanups on ANCSA lands. So these are lands that are conveyed to Alaska Native corporations as part of their settlement, right? Needed to do it. But they were conveyed with contamination that was brought about either by the military back in the day or some of our federal partners that came in, did exploration, and left things in a way that we would not accept today. And so there's no dispute as to who is liable. The federal government is like, yeah, we got to do the cleanup. But it's been next to impossible to get them to move on it. And so we were able to put in place a specific line item within the EPA bill that addresses the ANCSA contaminated lands with funding to move forward with it. We used what was called funding from the Environmental Justice Program. I think it's absolutely environmental injustice to, as a way to complete the settlement, we've given you something that is fouled and toxic and harmful. That's not environmental justice. But this administration doesn't like this they don't like the environmental justice program. So they eliminated that, and now they're going after the funds. And I'm worried, quite honestly, that that program that is going to make such a down payment to not only clean up the lands, but to allow for healthier people who live out there who've been exposed to, when there's contaminants that get into your drinking water that are around the berry patches that you're picking in, you're living with health consequences like this. So we've got an obligation to address it. I got off on a tangent there, but it's important for us to hear specifically from you on things just like this. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Representative Tomaszewski.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Senator Murkowski, for being here. I just want to personally thank you for voting for nearly all of the Trump nominees. Really appreciate that, and for voting for the continuing resolution. It's been a long time, many decades, since we've run any new rail in Alaska. We have a Port McKenzie that we'd love to get a rail spur over to. We have a railroad that we would love to connect to Canada and open up an alternative means of transportation for the state of Alaska. I think everybody can agree it'll be a really good boost for the Alaskan economy, bring down prices on everything. What can we do as a legislature to help our entire federal delegation to implement some new railways, some new infrastructure for the state of Alaska? I know there's a lot of talk about gas line, and we're totally for that also, but a railroad is also an important part of what would make Alaska great. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for raising that. And I know that there have been some, Representative McCabe, you talked about this, was it last year? I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Rail. Why, with such a huge state like we have in Alaska, why have we just been okay with a limited rail system that we have? We have not had a plan or a vision for our Alaska Railroad. And I think all you need to do is look to the confusion that we've seen just regarding the spur coming up from Point McKenzie to connect. You know, do we support it? Do we not support it? Do we let it turn into a road? No, let's commit. Let's commit to expanding and connecting our rail. Those of you in Fairbanks know, I mean, you're living with the controversy over the Manh Choh project. Most everybody says, hey, we support getting those resources out of Manh Choh. We do. But we're not so keen on the fact that you got to truck it 250 miles. And why we don't look long term at well, what is your alternative? You're not going to fly the stuff. The permitting issue to get a processing facility out there is going to be challenging. But we just kind of give up on the idea of a rail extension. If we're really going to access Alaska's mineral wealth, we're going to have to figure out a way to move it. Because believe it or not, it's not all sitting at tidewater or right next to a road. Thank you. You know, so what can you do? I think as a legislature, I think as a state administration, we need to say, this is part of our transportation infrastructure. And we're going to have a vision for it. I'm happy to work with you on ways that we can be creative with funding. I'm happy to work with you, with the Canadians, to get a connect. I have long thought that there is such opportunity for us. If we could connect within Canada, you can not only move resources like oil, but you can move grains out of Canada to be coming to us to tidewater and shipping to Asia or where else. But we have been so short-sighted, I think, with a vision for our railroad. So I know that there's some who think that maybe we need to look at a different model. That's going to be for us in the state to determine. But what I'm not satisfied with is that we've just kind of become complacent and not even dreamed about the potential for our rail. There are some who think that a rail to the North Slope would be a heck of a lot more efficient than the maintenance that we do on the Dalton. And given all of the activity that we are anxiously awaiting up there, why wouldn't we talk about this? We're not bold enough in our ideas, so thank you for raising it.
Thank you, Senator. We have 3 more questions. Are you comfortable dealing with that? We've kept you here a long time.
No, I can do that. I'll try to be shorter with my answers. I say that every year, don't I?
You do, yes, you do. So we will do Representative Himshoot, Representative Sadler, Representative Kopp, and that will be the extent of it. So Representative Himshoot.
Thank you, President Stevens, and thank you, Senator Murkowski, for being here. And I think I can speak for my colleague from District 1 and from my district with deep gratitude for your work for Wrangell, Cake, and Angoon. So thank you for helping those apologies happen. My question is about energy. With your help, there were over $2 billion in federal dollars here in Alaska right now. Those dollars are frozen for energy projects, and we talked earlier about Thayer Creek. Mm-hmm. That's more than 400 megawatts of new generating capacity that is in limbo. Can you give us any guidance as to the future of these projects?
Yeah. Those we are aggressively trying to again shake loose, understand what is going on internally. We have with the administration, you've got a very keen focus on what we're going to be able to do in advancing Alaska's resource opportunities, right? And there's a big focus on what we're going to do with gas. There's a big focus on what we're going to do with oil, and an equal focus on minerals. And that is all fine, well, and good. But in many of your areas, you know, certainly here in Southeast, you're not going to see natural gas coming to you by way of a pipeline here. Your opportunities are going to be smaller hydro. Representative Jimmy, out in your district, it's going to be more of the microgrids, and it's going to be maybe a couple wind turbines and some battery storage, and you're going to be able to get some of your communities maybe to 50% reliant on diesel instead of 100%. And so what we've got to do, and when I say we, I mean your Alaska delegation, we need to convince the administration that when you say all of the above, you really mean all of the above. And there's kind of an anti-wind movement now, and I get it, but it's kind of like talking about nuclear. You have some parts of the country, it's like, don't give me big nuclear anymore, but I'm all over the small modular reactor. And I think the same can be true for wind. We're not talking about, the Martha's Vineyard offshore wind, huge turbines out there. We're talking about some turbines that are just making some small things happen in very rural areas that are not part of anybody's grid. But as I say that, I also know that you have opportunities like up in the Fairbanks area, outside of in South Central, where again it's smaller opportunities. So when you talk about unleashing Alaska's energy potential, our energy potential also includes wind, and it's smaller, and it includes solar. And it's certainly on the storage, we absolutely have to do that. But it's also hydro. Hydro, I don't get it. Hydro has been kind of, nobody's interested in hydro. And if you're down here, you've got so much potential for a clean, renewable resource. Let's be able to harness the small fair creeks or whatever they're trying to do out at Sweetheart, Mahoney. This is how we make it work in a huge state like this. And so our effort really needs to be on truly embrace all of the above to allow us to achieve our true energy potential. Because we're not going to be able to do the big things with minerals if we can't figure out how we power a remote mine site, right? Because you're not going to have a gas line into that mineral production area. You're just not. So, okay, I said I was going to keep my answers shorter.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Sadler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks for the opportunity to answer and have so many questions answered. I want to applaud you, Senator, for your expression of support for the legislative branch's balance of power responsibilities. We have seen our chief executive use the emergency powers granted to him in legislation in, we'll say, unexpected ways on international trade, on immigration, on border security. And we do have a balance of power. It's our responsibility to stand up for our equal mission. So my question is there any prospect of modifying current law? Law lasts forever, executive orders come and go, to clarify the president's emergency powers, whether that's to require advice and consent, whether that's to have a more precise definition of what constitutes an emergency, maybe to limit the duration of those emergencies. I guess in response to the question asked second, must this battle be fought at the Supreme Court or can it be fought in the Capitol? And if so, what are the prospects of a communal effort to rein in some of those powers that have been so creatively utilized?
Yeah, so that's a fair question. I appreciate that, Representative Sadler. Is it possible for the legislative branch to act on this? Yes. Do I see that happening with the current construct? No. I don't think that you would have the political support because I think it would be viewed as opposing President Trump. I think it would be viewed as personal towards him, and I don't think that you would have members that would be willing to take that on, even though it would have implications for the strength of our own institution. Now, it could be that situations change in ways that are somewhat dramatic, and that you could have the legislative branch weigh in that way, the House and the Senate weigh in that way. But at this juncture, I would say it would be, greater definition would probably come by way of the courts interpreting it. But once again, it's us. When the legislative branch gives greater definition to laws that we are passing, whether it's here in Juneau or back in Washington, D.C., when we take the hard votes and we say, this is what we mean, and this is who has the authority, and you basically take the hard vote, but you give definition to it, then it's clear. Then the courts don't have to interpret it. And then we don't have to get upset when the courts interpret it in a way where we say, well, that was not where we intended to go with that, and we disagree with that. And then you start blaming the judiciary for an interpretation that you could have saved yourself from if you did the job in the first place. So this is about institutions and protecting the institutions upon which we are all based, which seem to me have worked pretty well over the generations. And believe me, I'm not suggesting that we're just seeing testing coming out of the Trump administration. We absolutely saw it in the Biden administration. We absolutely saw it in the Obama administration. You see it with every president testing to see, is the legislature going to push back on me? Because if they don't, I'm going to take it. So we got to stand up for ourselves.
Thank you, Senator. The last question, and possibly the best question, Representative Cobb.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'll try to disappoint Senator Murkowski. Thank you for your service to our state and our nation. Senator Murkowski, as you alluded to, Alaska's mining industry is the great sleeping giant of natural resource production that our state, our nation, and our world really need awakened right now. At a time when we could use a domestic secure source of critical minerals that we depend on, not only for future energy sources and delivery systems, as you mentioned, but also with every technology we depend on in our modern day life. My question is about our federal regulatory permitting system, which right now is in need of reform, that has encouraged a litigious approach, that have made mines nearly impossible to get into production from the time of resource discovery, sometimes over 30, 40 years. Any reforms possible that you see in this new administration that would encourage a new view that mining is necessary and good for the future of our state and country? Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, and it's a great question because it's so pertinent not only to mining, but really any kind of development in our state, any kind of development. Even if you want to put in a new subdivision, you've got to get permits, and the process is, it's like, yeah, is it worth it? And so, can we do better? We absolutely must. We made some incremental gains in the last Congress. We put some timelines which give a little bit of certainty. That's an important part of it. But in fairness, it's just the initial first step, and so much more needs to be done. I think most would say, certainly on the Republican side of the aisle, most would say that until we can address some aspects of NEPA reform, you really haven't been able to move the ball much on permitting. There is a great deal of work that is going on in this space. It's continuing from the last Congress, and with the new administration in place, a very, I think, considered review and analysis, what can be done administratively. But again, keep in mind, we want permanence to this. And the way that you get permanence is through statutory change. And so what is it that we need to do? How do we make this happen? I think you not only have a support within Congress that is obviously Republican in both houses, but there is a keen recognition across the parties that when you're talking about permitting, this impacts all of us. And we heard it loud and clear in the Biden administration from those that were trying to advance renewable energy projects. And they came up against the exact same problems that people in the oil and gas industry were saying. They're like, what the heck is with this? Why is it taking so long? It's like, welcome to our world. This is what goes on. This is not right. So I do think you should be optimistic about changes to the permitting process. We're actually trying to discern if there's a way that we can advance any of this through reconciliation. My sense is that that is harder, and probably you will not see those changes there. So a legislative initiative that I think will be met with good support from the administration is something that I would hope that we're all going to be able to count on and see the difference. There are some emergency authorities. There are some authorities that are available through the Department of Defense, for instance. I mentioned Graphite One earlier. They were able to secure support through the Defense Production Act because it's recognized that certain minerals, certainly graphite, are significant and important from a defense industrial perspective. But in fairness, that doesn't help to the extent that we need it on the permitting side. So we got a lot of work to do there, but maybe next year we'll be able to report the great headway on permitting reform. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Senator Murkowski, for answering all of our questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Madam Majority Leader Giesel.
Mr. President, I move that the joint session adjourn.
We will be back tomorrow without objection. The session is adjourned.
The House will stand in order. Will the House please come back to order? Mr. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move and ask unanimous consent that the House stand at adjournment until Wednesday, March 19th at 10:15 a.m. for a joint session to consider Senate Special Concurrent Resolution 1.
There being no objection, the House will stand on adjournment until Wednesday, March 19th at 10:15 a.m.